WCB Podcast, your source for all things Chicago Blackhawks and everything hockey. With your host, let's do it, Jerem Tanner and Noli.
It's another edition of the WCB Podcast, a part of the Hockey Podcast Network, presented by DraftKings and Raycon. It is Jerem. This is going to be a special bonus Friday episode of the WCB Podcast. We have a very awesome interview. We are joined by the mastermind behind GearGeek.com, Matt Stantopoulos. I don't know. I got proof. I said it right in the interview. That's all that matters. So if you are a gearhead, you love hockey equipment and all the different variations of it, this is an interview you want to listen to. We talked about the different brands. We talked about the GearGeek history and what it actually is. We talked about Bedard signing with Sherwood and how big that is in the world of hockey equipment and what could possibly mean in the future. And we even talked a little bit of Blackhawks and New York Rangers at the end. So definitely tune in for this one. It's a really fun interview. And when you are done, make sure you follow Gear Geek on Instagram and Twitter at Gear Geek Hockey. Links will all be in the bottom. Check out the website. It's really cool. It breaks down what players use and who uses what brand and all this. It's just so cool. He talks about it more. Check it out yourself. And yeah, we will see you next week. We will be covering the Pacific Division preview next week. So yeah, we'll see you then. All right, so we are joined now by a very special guest. He is the man behind Gear Geek. Please welcome to the program, Matt Stathopoulos. Did I nail it?
Thanks. Yeah, you got it.
I nailed it. All right, here we go. Let's go. I could say that, but I can't say basic names across the league. But all right, Matt, thanks so much for joining. How you doing, man?
Doing great, guys. So glad to finally be on with you. I know this has been a work in progress, but really good to finally jump on with you. Big fan of the Windy City Benders. Excited for what you guys have to come, and hey, it's a perfect time, I would say, for us to have a discussion. You know, given some of the still recent and very exciting news in the equipment world with the number one overall pick.
Yeah, Connor Bedard surprises a lot of people. We'll get that in a little bit here. But let's first start with, the basics off for people who might not know. Can you talk a little bit about what Gear Geek is and kind of like how that came about?
Yeah, so GearGeek.com is obviously a website that's affiliated and sponsored by Pro Stock Hockey, and it's pretty straightforward. It keeps track of the equipment that every player in the National Hockey League on every team is using. And it's got a nice outline. It's got a great layout on the website. For those of you who haven't seen it, head over to geargeek.com, when you're done listening to this. Or right now, if
I'm pulling it up right now. I follow the Instagram and I'm just like, oh yeah, there's a website. Let's check it out.
Yeah. So it's very cool if you're into that sort of thing, and to just check up on what players in the NHL are using, from their sticks to their gloves to their helmet to their skates. We've even recently added visors now. This past season was the first year with visors. And just to clarify, because I know this gets brought up a lot, but we know for the folks at Gear Geek, I'm sure you guys know too. We know that most sticks are not what the graphics indicate. But we at Gear Geek keep track of the graphics, and the reason being just because if for right now at least, if we were saying what the actual builds of the sticks were, we'd have a lot more people blowing up our DMs and sending us messages on Twitter, on Instagram, and saying, hey, this guy's not using that, like I saw it last night. And so there was a fine line we had to decide with, and for right now at least we decided it's the best to call out the graphics of the stick, because that is what the majority of the audience is going to see it as. However, at the same time, when the information of the actual sticks build is available, we are happy to share it, happy to talk about it. To give an example, Trevor Zegras and the Anaheim Ducks is, his stick obviously has the Bauer Agent graphic, but it's well known now that he uses the Nexus 2N Pro XL build. So that's an example, and it's been great. I feel like especially this past year we've had a lot more followers and fans engage with us, sending us messages on Instagram, on Twitter, saying, hey, I saw one of Mo Sider's sticks at the Red Wings store. Check out the code. Like it's it's not really an agent, it's this. And so I think a lot more people are starting to get that. So it's been great. It has certainly been great over this past season.
Jesus, that's crazy. I know that like my top thing right now is how the fuck do you keep up with all of it? Like how like every day I'm like checking Instagram and like I'll pop on like the story and it's like, oh, this guy's got this new twig, this guy's got this guy's that. I'm like, how do you know what's fucking new? Like, how do you know?
Well, truth be told, Tanner, I don't. I mean, that's just the reality of it. That's just the nature of it. I mean, I like to think I try my best and I get most of them, but it's in a way it's impossible. I think even if you have a team of 10 or so guys, which we have a team of a few of us, I kind of take the lead of it, and that sort of thing. But it's nuts, especially when during the season when there's 8, 7 or 9 games on. Chances are you're gonna miss a handful, and that's just the nature of it. But it's trying to trust who you can rely on, who doesn't change it pretty often, but then there's others who change a whole lot, and you just want to if you know that they played the previous night, or if they're playing that night, you it's like programmed into your mind, like, all right, let me throw this game on to make sure this guy isn't using anything different, just to make sure my tracks are covered. So the truth is I don't keep up with all of them, but we definitely do my best, and we definitely, and I like to think that we get most on every night.
I mean, it's very impressive the amount that's like out there.
You have just like multiple TVs going on your wall, just a wall of TVs, like that's
like a fucking Matrix. Buffalo Wild Wings just inside of his house.
No multiple TVs, just the one I got. But I like to change up games. If I'm home at night watching games, I like to change a few up. I really wish the NHL would stagger the start times of some of these games, kind of like how they do in football, how they do in baseball. It would make a world of a difference. I'm sure you guys can agree, because I'm sure you guys want to see, some other games, and it's a topic I've seen other fans, on social media discussing. But TV is just one, and I'll change it up, on nights. But you can bet I'm on social media. If I'm at home, I'll check out the hot times to do it are for 7 o'clock games, usually around like 6:45, 6:45 is that's when a lot of teams start uploading their picks and their clips and videos from warmups. Warmups are a hot time to see some changes, see if a guy's gonna go into a game with something new. So I would say that, and then obviously pictures and more clips start to come in as the games, as the 7 o'clock games start to wrap up around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then if I have a late night and I'm up watching the West Coast games, it's a repeat process for the 9 and 10 o'clock games. But let me just say also, one of the biggest times is on teams that don't have a game, and they're getting on the ice for practice, or for if they do have a game and they're getting on the ice for morning skate. Teams are pretty consistent with morning skate pictures around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and that's usually a hot time. Some teams are better than others. Like Ottawa's really good. Like they love posting pictures from morning skate, from practice. The Islanders are really good at it, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen some nice Gear Geek scoops from the Islanders, just because they've been so good with posting really good pictures on after practice and whatnot.
So do you guys follow all of the team accounts? I'm sure,
yeah.
Right? Because that's where you're gonna pull out of it. Every time I see it on the story, it's always like photos captioned just straight from that team's account. I'm like, man, like I follow some teams just because like I follow Ottawa just because of DeBrincat last year, but like I kind of like them because they're young, and so like I'm still following them and seeing their shit. Like you said, like they post a lot too, and I'm just like, it's pretty great. Like they posted like happy birthday Dominic Kubalik today. I was like, he's not even fucking stepped on the ice from yet. So like that's awesome. Like, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. Like just combing through the photos and then just like that's new. There we go. It just seems so intense.
It's cool too, because like by what you do on that site, it's like you're giving that extra inside look into the locker room and all that kind of stuff. Like the teams can do so much, but then it's like you are really breaking it down and just showing the statistics of like what these guys are using and what's the most popular stuff and this and that. And then I think the most insane thing is like when you're talking about checking guys, changing equipment, sticks, and here all that. Who drives you crazy about that? Like just consistently changing their stuff, and it's got to be Duncan Keith's got to be right up there with it.
You hit the nail on the head there, Zach. If it's, I mean, and I'm sure you guys knew that coming into it, because even the people who like aren't as like, you know, into equipment as say I am or you guys are, whoever, it's you know, he was just unbelievable. And like it would be from warm-ups to the first period, and then in the third period you'd have something else, and then the next game it would be a whole other combination. And I mean, he was just insane. Like, and I mean, you know, it at the same time though, I'm not like ripping on him because it keeps the content flowing for us. So, you know, Duncan Keith, you keep changing as much as you wanted, but historically, I don't think anybody will come close to him. But yeah, I wish I should have dug a little bit deeper and thought of tried to like find some old posts of like when he really did have like a crazy like 3 different kind of sticks in a single game. But you guys know, I mean, he just had you know, sticks all over the place, and from people who I've heard, you know, stories from, like and a lot of NHL players do this. It's not just him. Like he would have like a batch of 20 sticks ordered, and he would try one of them on the ice at practice, and then he'd go to the Blackhawks equipment staff and be like, I don't like this. I need different ones. Like this is off by my blade is off by, you know, half a degree of a lie, whatever you want to call it. Like he was just nitpicking every last detail you could imagine on a stick, and that's why it was the case with him. But if we're talking about some more recent players too, I would say Matt Zuccarello is at the top of the list. Like he's nuts because he just gets all these players from his friends around the league. Like quite a bit of he's gotten quite a bit of sticks from Derek Brassard. At a time last year, he had one of Austin Matthews' sticks. So you know, whenever he's visiting these teams and they're playing against them, he's just I don't even know how he does it. I'm just assuming he, you know, goes over to them and says, "Hey, you know, can I get one of your sticks off of you? Like, are you making a donation?" But he's one who's high, and this year Dylan Larkin, he was nuts. He was, you know, between the Nexus Sync graphic, the Vapor Hyperlight, and some CCM sticks, he was all over the place. He was definitely, you know, like I said earlier, putting on certain teams and trying to see certain players to just make sure that I didn't have to, you know, call something out about them. I was putting the Red Wings on or checking their social media pretty much every night just to make sure Dylan Larkin wasn't pulling any fast ones on us. But he got by me sometimes, but thankfully, you know, we have a pretty good following now where I had, and a lot of Red Wings fans follow us too, and they were always quick to shoot us a tag on Instagram or Twitter and be like, "You'll never believe this. Look what Dylan,
look what D-Boss is up to tonight."
Yeah. I often we got to refer to him as D-Boss every now and then. So yeah, and it's funny because, you know, D-Boss is on his nameplate on most of his sticks too. So yeah, he was a fun one to follow this year, to say the least.
So do you have a lot of input coming from fans more and more now too that have been following the account?
Yeah, and that's what I love. I mean, when I first started doing this in 2018, You know, I had a little bit more limited access back then, but now I have, you know, full control over the accounts, and I'm just realizing how many people send us DMs on a daily basis, and you know how many people tag us, like, you know, right on the feed and whatnot. And my rule with sharing is, if you beat us to it, and if you follow us, I like to toss you a retweet on Twitter. And of course, you know, if, as long as, you know, the account's appropriate, the picture's appropriate, it's, you know, we've got to play by the rules there, obviously.
Gotta vet them a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's been great. And you know, we get, I get several DMs on a daily basis, you know, during the season, and even now during the off season, because there's a ton of, there's a ton of guys on the ice at various locations, and people will shoot us a quick message, say, hey, you know, look what so and so is using right here, and then, you know, I you know, try and interact, and shoot the shit with them a little bit, and say, thanks for the heads up and this, that, and the other, and we get a ton of compliments, and that's the best thing. You know, a lot of people compliment, say they love the website, they love the accounts, that they love, you know, seeing these changes, and it's refreshing because, you know, back when I started, like, I never envisioned, well, we're closing in on 10,000 followers on Instagram now. We're at about 7,600 on Twitter. I never envisioned that there was this many people, you know, like me, who cared about it, and now, you know, we see who else is out there, and it's really cool. And the best part, like, you know, a lot of people in the hockey world who you guys know, like Jeff Merrick on Sportsnet, I'm sure you guys know him. He follows us. He gives us shout outs on his podcast with Elliot Friedman, 32 Thoughts.
Oh, that's awesome.
From time to time. A ton of, you know, rinkside reporters and beat writers. Sammy Silber, who covers the Capitals from the Hockey News, she interacts with us a lot. She's great with her Capitals coverage. Emma Lingen, the Nashville Predators senior reporter, she follows the account, and I could actually go down a list. I don't want to take up too much time, but
just dropping names. Let's just keep going.
but just to give you an idea, and a lot of that happened over this past year or so. So it's really cool to see, you know, notable names in the hockey world, you know, latch onto the account, and I'm assuming they enjoy the content. That's why they still follow. So we'll take it. We'll go with that.
I think it's such a niche kind of thing, but like when you are like really into it, it's like that's something that, like, the account also, since you do like get so many DMs, it just allows for so much contribution from like other people, which is like such a cool thing too, because like just knowing that like all these people are like, hey, like I saw this thing, I'm like really paying attention to the equipment now, like I'm really into it, and like I gotta fucking send this to the Gear Geek, like I gotta show them, I gotta be the first one to tell them, like let them know. And it's like, oh, that's kind of fucking cool, like you're getting the scoops from people about equipment, where like it's almost the same as like just getting scoops about like trades or anything from somebody else, but in the equipment world, which is awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you said it right there, and just like, to kind of add, you know, one more is, like, oftentimes if somebody gets me like a really good scoop, I'll often like ask them, thanks for this, like, you mind if we share and give you a quick shout out? And they say, yeah, absolutely. And then oftentimes I'll say, like, thanks for the heads up on like the Instagram story, and I'll tag them. You know, hopefully it leads to like a nice, some nice connections within the equipment community, if that's what you want to call it, and more, equipment fans begin to follow each other, and that sort of thing. So it's all good under the equipment umbrella. Let's say.
Let's call them just the gear sluts.
Gear sluts. Yeah, let's go with that. We can go with that for sure. Yeah.
It's just this is such a cool thing, because I don't think people really realize it, other than the ones that are the gear sluts, gear geeks, is that this is totally unique.
Obvious name.
Yeah, but it's unique because what other sport has equipment to this level where there's multiple different like types of equipment, there's different brands and models and modifications you could do to them, and this player did this to their skates and this player did this to their gloves and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, this really hits home how cool hockey is. Like God, I love this sport, and this is just another reason, like on top of the game itself.
Yeah, definitely. I think the the closest other sport would probably be baseball because, they've got bats, they've got batting gloves, they've got cleats, they've got, their regular gloves and mitts. But even baseball is nothing close. And
Yeah.
and I mean, like, if Carlos Correa on the Minnesota Twins is using a certain baseball glove, he's using that for the whole season pretty much. He's not changing this stuff on like a daily basis. So yeah, I mean that really is the cool part of it from a hockey standpoint. And I think and you guys have, and I know you guys have played obviously, so you kind of get it, but like there are some hockey players who may not care as much about equipment, but I think most do. And I mean that like that was me, like as a kid. Like I was just so obsessed with, what stick was Jeremy Roenick using, what stick was Eric Lindros using. You name your heroes back in the day, and it was from a very young age until now, and I'm still not sick of it. And I don't even know what it is, but it's just a passion I developed from a young age, and that's part of the game. Like, being a hockey player is you care about your equipment, and you want to try new stuff, and you want to try, what the players you look up to are using. And I agree, Zach, that's just a whole other, unique aspect of it. And it makes it that much more fun.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of talking about it too, like, have you really seen any like interactions with any of the major brands, kind of with what you're doing and what you guys are doing over there? Or is it still kind of like that might be the white whale, is to get like one of these brands to like, hey, come on, let's talk?
So like, you mean like social media interactions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I as far as I know, I think I think the only ones that don't follow us are Bauer, but the other ones do.
Okay.
And we get Bauer's they've got their own platform. I'm not trying to sound like I'm like, salty or sour over that,
No,
but
they definitely know of you. They just they just don't want to like show it.
Yeah, no, and I actually really appreciated it back in, I think it was October or November. You guys remember when and Zach, you picked one up actually when they launched the original Synergy.
Yeah.
When they relaunched that reboot of the original Synergy, they actually reached out via DM and said to me and was like, hey, just to let you know, your followers might appreciate this. We're relaunching this Synergy. I think they said like tomorrow or something. If you want to put it out there as like kind of like a news scoop, like have at it. And I was like, say less. And that's what we did. And it was a great post on Instagram, great post that I say viral, but like viral to our standards. It didn't get a million likes or anything like that, but viral to our standards. And people, even I remember the post on Instagram, people commented and said, thank you so much for calling this out. I missed getting one the last time they did this, but I just got one now. So that was really cool from Bauer, I'd say. But other than that, we've had a ton of interaction with CCM and Warrior through some likes and through some Instagram story shares and that sort of thing. And the guys at CCM are pretty good. Oftentimes I'll send them messages about what certain things are, just to clarify, because sometimes some pieces of equipment can look alike, and so if I shoot them a message and say, hey, is this that, especially with the custom designs, because sometimes those can trip me up a little bit, and they're always good with it too. And Warrior's good and true. And Sherwood's starting to come up on the rise. I'm sure we'll be talking about that in a little bit, but yeah, no, they're all great, and it's a lot of fun to interact with them.
I was thinking, like, if you want to talk about Sherwood,
also
to kind of backtrack just a little bit, when you're talking about like when you're younger, who's using what's Roenick using, what's Lindros using, like what are they guys using, like that tends to influence what kids want to use, right? So now with Bedard being one of the biggest names coming in the NHL, signing with Sherwood, like, I mean, that's what kids are going to want to use. Am I not wrong? Like,
you're 100% right. It's absolute. And I think if you talk to anybody who's who has an opinion on marketing hockey equipment, they'll tell you the easiest way to do it is if you get a certain stick in the hands of a certain player, it will make a world of a difference. Like if you rewind 2 or 3 years ago, if Patrick Kane started using a Sherwood stick, the domino effect that would be astronomical. And Sherwood, like, the whispers are that they paid, a pretty penny to get Bedard, but whatever. Like, this was the time to do it. He's in a major market like Chicago, a recognizable team brand like the Blackhawks. I know the Blackhawks have had some rough seasons, these last few, but let's be honest, their dynasty is still pretty fresh in the minds of most hockey fans. And now they just landed this apparent, knock on wood, stud of a first overall pick. And Sherwood may have had to back up the truck for him, but it's the right move. I mean, hockey in the Chicago area has just taken off, and it's only going to continue after something like this. And if Connor Bedard, the number one center, the guy who's putting up 2-3 points a night, who's putting up 70-80 points a season, is using a Sherwood Record Legend Pro, then you can bet a bundle that the kids on the junior Blackhawks, the junior Chicago Mission, whoever it is, the Chicago
Just
Fury,
the entire Chicagoland area.
Absolutely. They're going to notice, and they're going to want Sherwood sticks to be like Connor Bedard. I mean, that's how I was when I was a kid. That's how I was when I was a teenager. It's how I am when I'm an adult. Like, if I see a guy, one of the guys I love watching now, I want to try, his sticks. So it is just amazing. And I think the funny thing is just how we got here, right? Like a year ago when Bedard was first starting the new season with the Regina Pats, he came out with the Bauer Agent, which was the top of the line stick, and everybody already started penciling him in like, oh, he's going to be a Bauer guy. And I remember, I had to do my due diligence about a month before the draft. I think it was right around the lottery. I said, I was like, forget about the lottery for a second. We just want to know, what is Connor Bedard going to be using come September, come October? And I had people, lighting up my DMs there saying, oh, stop. Like, he's going to be Bauer, just enough. Like, you're trying to get people to say stuff, just for the sake of it. And sure enough, here we are. Sure what happened. It happened. And then, and how funny was it? I don't know if you guys saw that. I think you saw, me, I reshared the post from Lululemon. Yeah. Of all people to break the account, of all companies to break the account, Lululemon probably didn't even know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, zero clue.
This picture out of Bedard with Sherwood gloves and the code TNP, and then it's like, whoa, like, this is more than where there's smoke, there's fire. This is pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point. But it was that was a very fun day. Let's put it that way. And I'm sure you guys can agree, because obviously I don't think the draft was. I don't think the draft had happened yet, but obviously the Hawks had the top pick at that point. So, I mean, it was pretty cool, I'm sure, for you guys.
Yeah, I think it was a couple days before.
Yeah.
It was like getting ready for the draft. It's just like, man, how big for Sherwood can this possibly be? Like, I remember like right around like my senior year of high school was like when Kane was starting, but like that season, like everybody was rocking Bauer, like Kane curve, like that's just exactly it's gonna be like a resurgence of Sherwood. It's crazy the amount of like hate that I saw on Sherwood from like people just saying like he's got Sherwood. Like people like why would he have that? Like Sherwood shit. Like, it's just like, I don't know about that, man. Like this stuff looks pretty fucking good. Like,
so I've actually been fortunate enough to try out the Legend. I've tried the Record. The Record Legend, the TMP Pro, the Element 1. I've used them a little bit each. They're great sticks. Like, Sherwood, you want to sponsor us? Like, toss us some stuff here.
I'll take some shirts.
Like, I absolutely love it. And I'm like, this is a great stick. And it's like, if they get that one person to really get behind and to promote them, they could make a big change in the game of hockey that's being monopolized by CCM, Bauer, and I guess you could throw Warrior in now too. But yeah, it's like, I don't think people are really going to know like the true effect of Sherwood, landing Bedard until more people get this stick in their hands and all that kind of stuff. And it's awesome that you got Bedard, you got DeBrincat, you got Nylander jumping ship over there. You've had Kachuk. Like, you got some big names, and which is kind of insane for Sherwood, who only really been back maybe what, this season 2 or 3 that they're like actually licensed to be back in the NHL.
Yeah, I think it's definitely no more than say 4, but yeah, I mean, you said it, and yeah, like it's probably still gonna take some time, but like in terms of like a jump start or like a boost, this was as pretty much as good as Sherwood could have it. Because again, like with all due respect to some other first overall picks, I'm not trying to crap on Uri Slafkovsky or Alexis Lafreniere. Yeah, I mean, or Alexis Lafreniere, but like it really does. And geez, I hope I'm not jinxing Bedard for your guys' sake.
Oh yeah,
geez,
please everywhere.
But like it really does seem like, but Bedard is the guy, and the fact that he is in Chicago, the big market like we just talked about. This really is the major jumpstart boost that Sherwood needed, and they're off to a killer start, and the new season hasn't even started yet. But like you said, we will know the effects very soon, and you guys, local Chicago guys, when you're at the rinks and everything like that, it'll be cool to know. We'll have to do like a follow-up at some point, and you guys will can say what you've seen, just from the local rinks, with Bedard being a Sherwood guy.
What's up, guys? As you know, the show is brought to you by DraftKings, and new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Kansas, call 1-800-247-00. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort, on West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown's Race in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in require max bet $50. 10 plus leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Even if you're not going on vacation, summer is all about a vacation state of mind. Whether I want to listen to Luke Combs on repeat or just need a retreat inside my own head for a bit, I love creating my own summer soundtrack by popping in my Raycon wireless earbuds. There's so much going on all summer. Sometimes you need some upbeat music to pump you up before you see people or to stay calm with some guided meditation. I love my Raycon headphones for, listening to my country playlist up on the lake, or any of the great podcasts from the Hockey Podcast Network. Just get to hear all my hockey news. Let me tell you right now, Raycons are the best way to listen. Use earbud tap functions to toggle between 3 customizable sound profiles, noise isolation, and awareness mode. Raycons have a 32-hour battery life, including 8 hours of playtime, so you can listen to what you want when you want for a really long time. They come with custom gel tips for the most comfortable in-ear fit. They start at half the price of other premium audio brands, but they sound just as good. And Raycon comes with a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you really can't lose. Create your own soundtrack with Raycon. Right now, WCB podcast listeners can get 15% off Raycon. Order at buyraycon.com/THPN. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to save 15% off on Raycons. Buyraycons.com/THPN.
Yeah, I'm wondering definitely. If just as the guys on the Blackhawks all end up using Sherwood. Like if Bedard's just starts ripping from game one, it's like you start to slowly see more Sherwoods in each line.
Oh yeah, I would just love to. I'd be curious to see if there was, after the Bedard announcement officially, if there was a bunch of people being like, "Hey, Sherwood, send me over a couple sticks. Let me see. Let me test it out here."
Yeah, most definitely. That's one thing we didn't even say. Like it could be an NHL effect too. Like if Bedard's the stud that he's being advertised as, you bet there's going to be more NHL guys like, all right, what's this guy using? Let me get a shot at it, and let me give them a try. So yeah, that there's certainly an effect at the pro level and at the major junior level. I know it probably the USHL is more strict with their deal with Bauer, so we probably won't be seeing it there. But there are some NCAA teams that allow their players with a little bit more flexibility in the major junior ranks. Obviously, WHL, OHL, QMJHL for those not familiar with that. But yeah, there's a real possibility that we see some more Sherwood sticks in those kinds of leagues as well, as we'll call it the Bedard effect for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be sick. That's gonna be pretty sweet. For the current like brands that are out there, like how would you personally rank them?
Well, I wish I had more of a spicy ranking, but it's going to be it's pretty straightforward still. I think.
So
here,
do you want to go like 1 through whatever, or do you want to do like tiers, like S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier?
Well, there's only a few. Like
Yeah,
there's
right?
really only 5. So I guess we'll just say I'll have Bauer at number 1, CCM at number 2, Warrior number 3, True at number 4, and Sherwood at number 5. Like I said, pretty cliche, but I feel like that truly is just where we are. But like there's different factors, right? Because like CCM owns the AHL with their partnership there. So but I still think Bauer, once guys do get to the NHL, that they tend to take over, and they still have their big guys, the Canes, the Pasternaks, that kind of stuff. So I still think Bauer is at the top, though. Now that I just thought of this now off the top of my head, I remember like 5, 6, 7 years ago, it seemed like there was a lot more NCAA teams that had Bauer, because and the way NCAA teams do it is, they have a partnership with one of the brands, and everybody's wearing those gloves, those helmets, and most guys are using those sticks. They might allow some flexibility, but there's like a lot of former Bauer schools, if you want to call it that, are using other things now. So I think like a CCM and Warrior, that they've done a good job, kind of inching in and kind of closing the gap in the NCAA ranks. So we'll see it. Maybe that'll be a good like project for me, is to kind of break down the NCAA teams.
I'm curious to see like what the changeover might look like maybe a season from now. Like like just like we said, like the Bedard effect. Like I wonder, like you'll see more and more guys switching over to Sherwood, or like switching out of other things just to other brands, and like it's crazy just the movement that might be happening.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm really interested to see what happens with True too, because I mean I know they've kind of taken over the goalie game, and their sticks, I feel like they're getting there. They're not 100% there, but it's like what True does well is they pick an area, they perfect it, and they move on. So it's like now that they got the goalie market done, I'm really excited to kind of see what they end up doing with their player stuff.
Well, wasn't with True like they had like one of the big guys that was like designing the equipment like came from Vaughn? Or was am I completely off base on that?
Yeah, they bought the rights to what's his name?
It was like this guy that was just like the mastermind behind making the goalie equipment at Vaughn.
Yeah.
Lefevre was the name. That's they're kind of hand in hand now with the goalie equipment. Yeah,
that was pretty huge for him. Like that's all I remember from that. Maybe they get somebody that like is a former like Bauer guy or something like that. They pull him in True, and then they start making like really upscale like player gear.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with them. Do you think any of these smaller brands have any chance of dethroning CCM Bauer anytime soon, or we still got a little bit of time before that happens?
Well, I would say not anytime soon to answer the question. And kind of what you were saying, Zach, and about True is I really thought they were on their way for a while, but just the vibe I get in recent seasons, it made me pump the brakes a little bit on that. And the reason I say this is because it just seemed like there were guys who were wearing their skates who switched back to Bauer, and some guys who tried their skates and they didn't stick. So there was just quite a few. It really seemed like they were making strides, and then other people just kind of reverted back to what they were doing or moved on to others. But I don't know, this Catalyst 9X3 stick, it looks pretty slick. Maybe it'll capture the appeal of some players, and we'll see. But yeah, but like other guy, like one of these guys is like Thomas Chabot. Like I thought him in Ottawa was going to be a true guy for years to come, and look at him now. Like he's hinting at being in all Bauer this year, and that already started last year with from the beginning of last year he started wearing their gloves and using their sticks. So I don't know about True. Well, the next couple of years will definitely say a lot. And Sherwood, we kind of already touched on everything they're doing, but obviously the Bedard news is huge, and like you said, Zach, with Matthew Tkachuk, DeBrincat being in Detroit. I know he was in Chicago previously, but him coming from Ottawa to Detroit, I think is going to be is definitely huge. It doesn't seem like William Nylander is going to leave the Maple Leafs. I know there's just speculation about his new contract and him needing
I mean, with Matthews signing a new deal today, like, who knows?
Yeah, that might be that might be good news for sure. But what I'm getting at is, what I feel like it was a few months ago people started speculating about Nylander's future, and I'm sure the Sherwood guys were thinking to themselves, oh God, like this cannot happen. Like they had to have worked really hard to get him, and then they finally did this past December. So if the Leafs were to trade him to like Dallas or Arizona, that would just be a kick in the nuts to put it lightly. And no disrespect to those markets. I'm not one of those hockey fans. I love the Southern markets. I want to see the Southern markets succeed, but that's just the truth, and it's just the nature of the game. Like William Nylander doesn't help Sherwood using their sticks in Dallas as much as he does in Toronto or some of these other markets. So
original six.
There you go.
Like one of the biggest teams in the NHL. Like, Jesus.
Yep. Absolutely. So Sherwood not in the immediate future either, but like we said, this is the great jump start, the great boost that they needed, having guys like Bedard, Nylander, and if Matthew Tkachuk keeps putting up 100-point seasons, he's an American kid, and a lot of he's in the conversation for best American-born player, in the league. So these young, U.S. kids who look up to the American-borns are going to gravitate toward Tkachuk, and they're going to want to use what he's using. So Sherwood is definitely on their way from essentially nothing to making some pretty big strides, I would say.
Yeah. I think they got the best shot, I think, out of the minor brands, quotes minor brands. But so we're gonna wrap things up here. I don't want to take too much of your time, but
Wait, I got one.
Oh, you got one more?
I got one random fucking question that I just came up with. I don't know if you play NHL, the video game, that often, but if you do, how accurate is the game with player equipment? If you ever notice that.
I don't play. I'm not a chow guy. That's just, I'm old now, and I don't know. I just kind of faded away from video games altogether. But to give you something here, I thought I saw something from the like a screenshot from NHL 24 the other day, and I don't know if you guys saw the same thing. I forgot which. Oh, it was Makar. I think it was Cal Makar on the cover, or just some shots of him, in the game, and it looked like they had him with a Nexus 2N, Nexus 2N Pro, which was originally released in 2018 and is basically defunct now. So I don't know. It just seems like EA Sports kind of gave up on trying to stay stay as relevant and as up to
accurate,
date with equipment as much as possible. I don't blame them, because it's not an easy task.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think when they do the roster updates, they update all the equipment for all the guys either.
Right.
Because I saw one screenshot, they had a guy using a Sherwood Project 9 in it, and I'm like, I don't even think the Project 9 is even like remotely close to NHL stick. Like,
Yeah. Oh man. No, yeah. So I don't know. I haven't seen like enough people to give like a firm answer, but I did see some of those shots at Cal McCarr, and when I saw the Nexus 2N, I was like, what is this? EA Sports. And at least put a Geo in there. That would have been a little bit more
That's just so funny. It's like
recent.
something I never even noticed in the video game. It's just like that's the first thing you see. It's just hilarious.
now I'm gonna be like, when NHL 24 comes out, that's gonna be the only thing I'll be looking at now. I'm not gonna be paying attention to the game. I'm gonna be like, oh, what does he got? What does he got? Oh, thanks, Tanner, for putting that out there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So yeah, some general questions about you, man. So what really got you into the game of hockey?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, hockey's all I've ever known. Well, in the beginning, it's what it is. You know, now I'm not like, I like to say I'm a hockey guy in the winter, I'm a baseball guy in the summer, but you know, I've been into the game ever since I was about like 5 years old, and it was really my parents. You know, more so my dad with playing, like, because you know he played growing up, and you know, my mom actually made me a Ranger fan. My mom's a Ranger fan in the family, so she got me into them from a young age. And you know, I started watching it at first, and you know, I think it was, you know, my dad just, you know, noticed it from an early age, and he was the one who asked me and said, you know, do you want to give it a shot? And he would take me to learn the skates. And then I think I was on my first organized team when I was 6. And then I just played, you know, all throughout. And you know, unfortunately, the organized stuff ended when I was 18, and you know, I believe in high school, and then I became a beer leaguer like the rest of us. But I, you know, I still love it. It's fun. You know, and the biggest thing is like the amount of friends I've made. You know, growing up, throughout the game, like that's what a lot of you can say the same about all sports, and I think a lot of it came from I think it was extra special for me through hockey, just because all my youth teams, like I had my friends at school, and then I had my friends from hockey, and then like even being a beer leaguer and going to the rink, you know, in the summertime and in the wintertime, a couple times a week or once a week, and just meeting people from, you know, being at the same pickup session over and over again. You get to meet folks, and then you see them at your local minor hockey league, your local minor league team's game, and you say, hey, what's up? So it's just been great. Like I love the game, you know, because it's fun. It's a hobby. It's good exercise, and it's you know, it's obviously there's a social aspect to it too. So it's really been a big part of my life for as long as I can remember.
So for when you play, like, what's your go-to brand, or do you switch it up a lot?
So I've got a bit of a diplomatic answer for you here, guys. I don't wanna. Like I said, I'm not trying to make any enemies here, but I'll probably say CCM is the top, just because I wear the classic V08 helmet, and I've got a nice pair of the HGTK Ultratax gloves. I really love those. They've got nice Nash palms on them. I really love them. They're some of the best gloves I've ever used. So it's CCM there, but funny enough, I don't fit into CCM skates. I've got more narrow feet. And some people have been telling me you got to try the Jet Speed line, but skates are not something you take lightly, in my opinion. And I've been wearing Vapor skates from Bauer for a very long time, so I'm sticking with the Vapor line. I don't see myself changing there. And then from a stick standpoint, I will try any stick as long as it's not a P88 curve. I refuse to use any P88 curve. I don't know how people use them. I mean, Jack Hughes used it first, and he switched from it. So there you go. I know there's only a few left in the league, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that you don't maximize your potential on the ice with the P88. That's my theory. I know I just said I wasn't about to crap on anybody, and this is not me crapping on Bauer. It's just the P88 curve. I don't know how anybody uses that. It's horrendous. It doesn't, you know, in my opinion, it doesn't maximize your stick handling ability, your shot ability, nothing. But Olen Zellweger, you guys know him, the Anaheim Ducks prospect. He still uses it, and Mark Masters from TSN had a very cool interview with him about why he uses it, but more power to the guy. I'm not trying to convince him other way. He's not taking hockey advice from me anyway, and nor that he should. But I am not a P88 curve guy. I will try any stick as long as it's not a P88 curve.
So you're getting a Sherwood record legend pro this
I'm,
coming year.
Oh, Tanner, I've got my eyes set. I'm waiting for the market for some of those Bedard sticks, and I know Zach, you're probably doing the same thing too. But he uses like a low like 70, 75 flex, which is usually in the ballpark that I go with. So I don't know if I've ever owned a Sherwood stick in my life, to be honest with you. And I have owned a lot of hockey sticks. I think my current collection is at like 15 or so. But when a Bedard one becomes available, that will definitely be my first Sherwood stick for sure. I'm ready to pay for it too.
There you go.
And you got 15, and I'm just looking at mine. I got a problem. I'm up to like 60.
Oh,
Jesus
there you go.
Christ.
There you go.
My
Hey,
entire wall is just covered.
I'm jealous. Now you're gonna make me try and catch up to you, Zach. So there we go. Yeah.
Wait, when I move back to Chicago, we'll I'll get back on it.
Yeah. So you're talking about your stick though. Like, it's like, do you have like an all-time favorite stick?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I've had some good ones. I still remember my very first Synergy, which was the first composite stick I got.
Mhm.
I think it was like my 12th birthday or something. My parents surprised me with it. Because that was when like everybody on the team started getting them when they really took off, and it was like you were a rock star when you walked into the locker room with
Oh
it.
yeah.
So that was my very first composite. It's always special to me, but if I had to pick an all-time favorite, and this might be a little cliche too, I'll probably go with my I've since broken it. I don't have it, but my Easton Stealth RS that I got the very first day it came out in October 2011. I had an 85 flex Taylor Hall curve, which was the P92. That one was a beauty. I love that one. I think that's in the top three, if not number one. And if I had to pick a current, it's a tie between, as I've gotten older, I'm more so away from getting the latest and greatest model. Now I'm more so just interested in trying out players' pro stock patterns and their specs and everything like that. So if two of my absolute favorites right now is an Erik Karlsson Warrior Covert QRL that I have. It's just a beauty, a P28 curve, great feel, handle the puck, shoot the puck, you name it. And then the other one is I was lucky enough to stumble across an actual Warrior Patrice Bergeron stick. It's a Patrice Bergeron Alpha LX Pro stick. I wasn't sure how I was going to like his curve. It's a little bit more straight. It's not like a P28 or like a P92, so to speak. But it's got just enough curve at the toe, and the lie is still along the lines of that P92. So, you can still handle the puck great. You catch and receive passes phenomenally. It's got a great feel to it. And Patrice is one of my favorite players of all time. So there might just be some bias in that, but I've used it on the ice enough to confirm that it's one of my favorites. So those are definitely my top two favorites at the moment.
Just getting tons of takeaways with that one, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
The two-way game just shot through the roof when you got that stick out there.
My beer league had a Selke trophy, and my name would be written all over that. Absolutely, yeah.
Be the Bergeron of the beer league,
There you go.
So you mentioned that you're a Rangers fan. Just like lastly, like what do you think about the Rangers heading into the season?
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's after last year, I mean, they got beat by a good Devils team. So, the series that game 7, and I mean, I'm not taking anything away when I say like anytime a series goes 7, it can go either way. If the Rangers win game 3, in overtime, what a difference that makes. But I like to think that the Rangers window is open right now. But the division and the conference, I would say more so is just getting tougher. I think. And Igor Shesterkin really gives the Rangers a chance to win every night. So I think they're going to go by him. And I think a lot of what Chris Drury expected 2 years ago was that to see a little bit more out of Kakko and Lafreniere, and that just hasn't happened. And a lot of people are shaking their heads at the Buchnevich trade still to this day, even though it's 2 years old now. But you can't blame Chris Drury. He sold off Buchnevich because he did what every other GM would have expected in that situation. They would have expected, Kakko and Laf to take the next step. They haven't. Maybe this year they finally do, but I'm not banking on it. Let's put it that way. But the good thing is the Rangers don't heavily rely on them. Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Panarin, those guys are still the core. Adam Fox, K'Andre Miller, Trouba, those guys are still the core. So luckily they don't have to rely on those two. But it would be nice to see them take a little bit of a next step. Because the Devils, man, I hate to give them credit, but you have to. Like there's no reason, and I know you guys were talking about this in your show earlier this week, but you guys are spot on. Like there's no reason. Sure, there's going to be more eyeballs on them this year, and the expectations are going to be different, and they're going to have to answer those expectations. But there's no reason to believe this young core that they have can't just pick right up where they left off. And they add a guy like Tyler Toffoli. Like there really is no, like, the Devils were a perfect team for Tyler Toffoli to go to. Like he's your fringe third liner, second liner who can put up, close to 30 goals or 30 goals, whatever you want to call it. And he's a veteran now. Like that's just such a perfect pickup by them. And I'm sure, maybe Akira Schmid is going to be the real deal. Like he showed some signs in the playoffs. The Devils are going to be a really good team. So they definitely worry me the most. I would certainly say.
Yeah, that whole division is just, all of the top sixes are just like stacked. It's insane.
What about you guys? Really quick, if I can throw one back to you guys. Like obviously, the hype is real with Bedard, but if you look at the Hawks up and down, like we're not saying playoffs here, like of course, but like, and I know you guys.
If the Hawks make the playoffs, Connor Bedard's a Hart Trophy winner. I can tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. But like, it's. I remember this, and I really hope this does not happen to you guys. But I remember the Sabres, when they got Eichel in 2015, just having a guy to go watch and knowing that things are going to be better. And I trust the Blackhawks management and those previous Sabres regimes to put together a much better team to support Bedard. But you've got, at least you have a reason to turn your TV on. Like I'm sure, after Kane got traded, it was like, all right, what are we watching here? Like, that's it. And that's how the Rangers were a couple of years ago for me in 2018-19. Like I remember, if Lundqvist wasn't playing, I was like, okay, like I don't really need to be watching the game tonight. I'm not going to be missing anything. So, what are you guys hoping to see? I guess from the Hawks side of it.
I'm just excited to see Bedard on the ice. Like, I think Kyle Davidson did a great job bringing in the right type of veteran players to, one, protect him, and two, really show some leadership skills. Like, say what you want about Foligno, Perry. Those are great leadership guys. Taylor Hall, he's got a lot to prove. He's somebody that is still playing for another contract at this point. Like, he still has a lot of his career left. Not a lot, but he still has a career left in front of him that he's got to kind of prove, like, hey, I can still do it, and playing with one of the potentially best players in the league. It's going to be huge. I think this is a good team it's a good team for the situation. It's going to transition them to the next year or 2 years when you have what our next core is going to be, like when the Korchinski, Nazar, Oliver Moore, once all those guys are ready to go, I think that's what this team is just getting us to.
Yeah. On top of that, it's just a lot of growth that I'm looking forward to. Like the guys that are going to be playing on the team, obviously like Bedard, but then like Reichel is going to have like more than likely a full season and see how like he performs. Talks about Korchinski starting this year as well. Maybe Alex Vlasic, like having those guys on the back end, see how well they do. I mean, obviously not expecting a lot. That's a whole thing last year too, not expecting a lot. But the surprising thing about last year, with it being Luke Richardson's first year as the head coach, seeing as how he handled it, and every game the Hawks were in. And that was more surprising than anything to me. and just more of that. Like, it was exciting hockey. It's gonna be even more exciting this year with fucking Connor Bedard, man. Like, I swear to God, this kid's gonna, like game one, he's gonna fucking rip, like right off the bat. Like, I guarantee it. Like, I can't wait. Just the kid's just got so much fire. You can tell, like, this whole offseason. It's just, yeah, sometimes you just want to shake him and be like, stop saying like you just hope you make the team. Like, we get it. You're gonna be on the fucking team. Like,
he's a humble kid. He's a humble kid.
Good.
Don't hold that against him.
But I'm so ready for game one. But like, talk about a welcome to the NHL fucking moment. Like, game one is Sidney Crosby, Erik Karlsson, Evgeny Malkin. Like, what? Like, how? Like,
he
what do you do?
He idolized
Yeah,
Crosby
like,
growing up. Like, and it's like it's a metaphorical passing the torch. I mean, I know Crosby's not done, but it's like Crosby has got a career that Bedard, we can only hope Bedard comes close to.
Yeah.
You know, we actually hope it's better because, you know, Crosby obviously had the injury issues and all that kind of stuff throughout his career. But it's like seeing Crosby versus Bedard game one, like, I mean, if you don't see that as a torch passing moment, like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, no, you guys, those are like about what I would expect to if I was in your situation, you know, as Hawks fans. But you know, ultimately, like you said, just being able to put the Hawks game on, even for me, like I can't wait to do that. And I mean, from a lesser side, like with Darren Pang in the mix as the Hawks color commentator, like he's great. I love him as a color commentator. So you know, having him now as the CC guy, you know,
great.
with Bedard for the long haul, there's some exciting times ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, which is gonna be great.
It's gonna be a fun couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. No, you guys. Oh, here's hoping. It's the and hey, I'm just not. I know that there's a lot of people out there in the hockey world who you know, put these targets on the Blackhawks back for no other reason that they win and that they want that they had that dynasty. But I was never like that. Just making sure we're clear. I've got no problem with teams winning and doing their job, you know, so to speak. So if you guys go back to stardom and to dynasty level, then hey, it's good for the sport. It's good for the league.
We've said it before on the show, and it's like, it sounds cocky, but it's just true. It's like when the league is better when the Hawks are good, and when that goes for all original six teams. Like when the classic teams are doing good, because they're all major market teams, when they're doing good, the league's doing good, and that's means more money for the teams. The cap can go up. These players can get more money. It's good for everybody. Like, and that's why it's like, come on, I get it. You hate us because you ain't us. That's fine, but realize like the big picture there.
Hopefully there's. I mean, I think, you know, this past season with the Winter Classic returning to Fenway, it's overdue now for the Winter Classic to return to Wrigley Field, and I mean, hopefully with Bedard in the mix. And if the Rangers can stay relevant for a couple of years, if we could get like a Blackhawks Rangers Winter Classic at Wrigley Field, that would be
awesome.
I would have to make a trip out.
I would honestly like want to go so bad to that too.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Definitely exciting times for the Hawks, for the franchise and all of that. Yeah.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate it. This is an awesome talk. We're definitely gonna have to do this again in the future here. Even just talk hockey. You ever want to come on and talk hockey? Feel free, let us know.
Little mid-season like recap on like what changes have gone on in the Gear Geek world, and then talk some actual like season stuff. It'd be good.
Yeah, hey, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm glad we finally were able to do it. And yeah, you know, down the road, if we want to do a recap, I'm always open. I love you guys, love the show. You keep doing what you're doing, and you know, here's hoping for you know, more good news with the Hawks and the show and everything in the future. So thank you again.
Hey, you keep doing what you're doing too. I like what you do a lot as well. It's great.
Will do.
And we're gonna have links for all the social media, the website, everything in the bio in the show notes on the podcast and on the YouTube. So make sure if you're not already following Gear Geek, get on there. It's great content. It's especially if you love equipment. Yeah. If you're missing out if you're not already following them, or
even if you're just interested in what somebody's using and you don't have to follow everything, like, why not?
Yeah. All right, Matt. Yeah. Well, yeah. Matt, thanks again, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WCB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast. To connect with Jerem and Tanner, check out the boys at WCB Podcast on all social media. We'll see you next time.